Here we are. It is on the record date. This is October something, 23rd, I think. And Michele has already completed the race.
I did.
You not only completed it, you crushed it.
Here's my medal.
Yeah.
My medal is a reverse devil tarot card.
Mm.
It was a 30-hour race, as it says here, 30 hours. But I did 32 miles in 24 hours.
32 miles?
Yep.
Now, I think what's really critically important here is that people actually understand what this race looks like, because you say 32 miles, and I can see some people thinking, really, like it's 32 miles and it takes 30 hours to complete, because you need to understand what you're doing in those loops.
Yes. So it is a 6.4-mile loop. And when you leave the start line, probably you go maybe a quarter of a mile in, and then you start climbing. And the climb for the first 2 miles is 1,786 feet up for 2 miles. In fact, there's one sign, so the course is marked, so you don't go off course. And there is one point where it says there's this cabin that you know you're reaching the point too. And there's this sign, and when you turn to your left, there's an actual rope that you need to use to help pull you up to get up, because the steep is so straight up on it. So the first 2 miles is an increase of 1,786 feet. And then the remaining 4 miles is a decrease and up, decrease and up, decrease, 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 decrease. So he sends you 2 miles straight up and then 4 miles back down.
And you do that 6 times.
I did it 5 times.
5 times.
Wow.
5 times.
I did it 5 times. And just put in context, the person who won the 30-hour race, he did 96 miles. That was 16 loops. And the woman who won it did 72 miles. I have to get my calculator. And that was 11 loops.
So the idea is to complete minimum 32 miles?
Minimum is 30 miles, yes.
Minimum is 30 miles,
52,
okay.
yes, to get a medal. To anything in an ultra marathon, anything over the normal marathon. If you go a half a mile over that, that is then considered an ultra marathon.
Okay.
So yes, so I did 32 miles in 24 hours. And the reason why I did not continue is both my knees were jacked up. Like it was bad.
Wow.
So, yes.
So take us through the very, very start of the race, what you were feeling, what it was, like all of this. I mean, this has been 3 years in the making.
It was 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, like
There's
people
many postponements and things like that due to health. Like this isn't just something. This is
no. So I mean,
you reached the goal.
Yes, like this first of all, I think this is really super important for anybody who's going for a goal to understand. And this is what's really so incredible about what you've done, Michele. And that is that we often set goals, big goals, something really big that we want to accomplish, and we get waylaid somewhere along the line and we don't return. We look at it as oh, well, it just didn't work out, and then there's regret and whatever. So, I mean, you attempted this race, 3 years ago, and your knees got messed up, and you chose to walk away from that race. And then you were back in it, and I'm doing it again the following year. And my God, cancer said, we got a different plan for you right now. You're going to have to deal with us first. And then you dealt with all of that and then got back into it again.
Which she could have, that could have been her out. She could have said, you know what?
Hey,
that's my out.
Totally. I can't, this is too much. I'm going to lessen the goal. I'm going to do something completely different. But no, not Michele. She's like, no, I'm back at it. I'm going to do this again. And you literally created a blueprint of success on how to go for the big stuff, which is, it's just, mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
So take us through what it was like standing on that, very front of the line to get going on that race.
Because this was the end of your goal, right? Like if you did this,
yes,
you fulfilled it. So
I fulfilled this portion. Yes, I did. Yes, my why is much bigger than just this goal of why I did this race. But this was, yes.
But you were reaching the end of this goal. And to me, that a lot of, like Tracy said, a lot of people say goals, but you're at the end of it.
Yes. So I was at that. I had gone through so much in the last year of growth and training, which we can get into, but standing on that start line was much different than when I tried it the first time. The first time I looked like a deer in the headlights. I was so scared. Imposter syndrome took over. I walked backwards in the group so I would be the last one that went off because I felt small and phony. This year, I was like, there's nothing stopping me. There was nothing that was going to stop me. I knew this goal was a Michele goal. There were people there that had a goal to get the most mileage, to win, to do whatever. So they were going out strong. And to me, we had two different goals, which were fine. That's perfect. So I did pull back a little bit at the start line, I'm sorry, to allow them to go. But I had my trainer with me. I had Jason and Amber, who were the co-race directors. Like the energy there was it was electrifying. And this year, what Jason had done differently was he is very into, he's very, how do I want to put this? He understands how fear and we call it demons can take over your mindset because of his PTSD of being in the Marines and being in Iraq. And he knows a lot of the runners there, and he knew they were battling some form of demons. And you usually, when you come to a race, there is something you're usually battling, whether it's regular fear, there is something you're battling. So he motivated us in a way that I've never seen him do before. He actually put war paint on his face. He had this Viking music playing, and he gave this speech on how not to allow the demons to take over your mind, because fear will take over your mind. You can call fear many different names, and demons is one of it, and how that can take over your mind. And he yelled out things that people have overcome. And of course, one of it was cancer. People there had sexual abuse. People there had been tried to commit suicide. There was just this way of information. And he said, there's also people here just having fun, which is A-okay also. That is absolutely, they just wanted to try and see how far they can go. So when I had that type of energy around me, it was exhilarating. It was like that I'm just putting my head down. Like there was I didn't allow any other thoughts. The other thing that I changed from last year or 2 years ago was I did some meditations, which Megs was great that she gave me. I also did a breathing exercise that helps really heighten your awareness and bring in a lot of energy, oxygen also. And I did gratitude. I did why I was out there, what each lap meant. And I did it before I went out, because then I had to complete that loop for that piece of gratitude. And that was like I took any fear or any doubt and I just threw it to the side, because I had a purpose for each one of those laps. And off I went. Off I went. So it was, yeah, until the knees started.
That's pretty amazing,
right, I
though,
mean-
that you like you learned from last time and you knew what you needed, which was more of the mindset, not the physical training. You'd already done that. That at that point, it was all to do with you overcoming what, we've talked about, stories in your head and all that stuff, everything up here. So it was, good on you recognizing that and then making sure you put things in place to assist you.
Yeah, it was in August. I had gone out to do some training on the course, and there was epic failures. And like I felt very defeated. There was the conversation in my brain to change my goal, as we always do. However, I did some really hard conversations and reflections with myself, and I was able to hone in on where I was feeling on how I was feeling defeated. And when I was able to self-reflect and hone in on that, that's when I was able to switch that mindset. So
I love how you said, when I first attempted this, I had imposter syndrome and I felt small. This time, you clearly were not afraid to take up space.
Nope. And here is the ironic part. So he had 3 races that day. Well, the whole day, the whole trip. So at 7 a.m., the 30-hour racers went off. And at 7 a.m., the 12-hour racers went off. Okay, so he has 2 sets of racers go off. And then at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, he has the 6.4-mile racers go off. So those are people that, let me see what I can do. Let me try this. And they go off. So the 30 hours and the 12 hours go off at the same time. And I'm hiking my trail. I do not run up the hills. It's not, I can shuffle down, but we call it running, but it is, it's a speed of however speed you can do it. And so I'm going up, and you talk to runners. It is very, very communicative. Like everyone's talking to each other, and you're going up. And I was talking with a girl. We decided to make the trek up ourselves, and she says, I think this is great, you're doing the 12 hours. And I went, I'm not doing the 12 hours, I'm doing the 30 hours. And she stopped and looked at me. She said, what? I said, I'm doing the 30 hours. She's like, I'm only doing the 12 hours. What do you mean you're doing the 30 hours? Like, people were expecting that I was doing the 12 hours. And I said, no, I'm signed up for the 30-hour time frame. And there was so much encouragement out on that course. My son actually also had a videographer. And when I came in after the first loop, the videographer said something to him, and Jason turned to him and said, no, that's my mom. And so when I went back out again, he came up behind me and he says, I just need to let you know, you're strong. And I went, oh, that's nice. Thank you. Like I was taking it as a nice compliment. That's it. And he's like, no, I want you to know, I've been watching you walk from behind. You have one heck of a strong, like you have a strong stride. You're strong out here. I just want you to know that. And it was that type of encouragement that makes you want to keep going and keep going. So it was, I got the first loop done, and then I got the second loop, and then the knees started to really interfere again.
Okay, so what did you tell yourself?
Oh, there was no way I was stopping. These knees were on fire. And here's the reason why. My knees gave out on me last time. And I was like, oh, that's it. I have to quit. I am in pain. Nope, I have to quit. And I went home to Jason's house. And I had soreness, but the pain was gone within 3 hours after I was there. So what was the pain from? It was more of a discomfort than a pain. And they did check. I don't want anybody to feel that I was abusing body in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
There wasn't that. But there was also no conversation. Like, people were checking my knees without me realizing they were checking my knees because they didn't want me to focus on it. And the pain was only on the very steep declines. So it was either my IT band or a ligament on the side of my knee. So I wanted to go another loop, but it was the downhill was too much. It was taking me too long of doing that. So we called it at the 32 miles. So it was excruciating. It was excruciating. So, but my shoulders kept up because as you climb, you then start taking out trekking poles. I don't know if you've seen people, they look like ski poles, like when you're skiing, okay? And so I was using that on my descent a lot, putting my weight. I would put the poles in, put all my weight, and then take down my right foot, and then gently lay my left foot down. So my shoulders kept, my triceps, like the whole thing. It was a full body aspect of everything. So up we went, down around, stuff food in my mouth, which we can get into, back up again, around. I never stopped more than 15 minutes. The longest I stopped was 20 minutes. That was the longest I stopped.
Wow.
And that's because they had to change my socks because I stepped in a puddle of water.
So at any time, did you ever doubt yourself? Are
well,
you like
Yeah.
outside of the physical, like who knows, because anything happened. Did you just go, no, this one, I got this, no matter what, I got this?
I knew no matter what, I had at least the first medal in me. I wanted the second medal. There was a second medal if you hit 50 miles. That was like my ultimate goal. But I knew as I was taking my second climb and I felt my knee more and more coming down, and I was trying to calculate things. You start calculating, like, how can I get this done? I knew it was going to get tougher and tougher. So, but I knew there was no way I wasn't walking off with that medal. There was no way. Like, no, there was zero. And it was funny because so many people saw that determination that when they saw me limping, they were sitting around the fire on how they were going to get me across the finish line. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. If I walked in at any point and said, nope, I'm not doing this, Jason said there was a plan. They were all like, nope, she's not going there.
So that's really important as well, is to know that you need a support system around you for whatever goal it is that you're going for. You need to have those people that are gonna, rally, whoop, whoop, and give you that encouragement. And that there are plans in place, that you are strategizing about, okay, here's all the potentials that I can see right now. There's probably stuff I can't see. What am I going to do about all of those potentials?
Yeah.
So you did this, and then there was the most incredible video on Facebook. I think I watched it like 6 or 7 times, and it is you coming up to the finish line and you're greeting Jason. By the way, in case we haven't said, Jason is Michelle's son. So there's that special connection right there. Take us through what that was like coming up and knowing that you had actually done it, seeing the finish line and seeing Jason. I just want to
Well,
cry just saying that, just
I
saying
know,
that part.
you make me cry. So when I realized I wasn't going to hit a 50-mile, now I did a 50K, but the 50-mile mark, when I took off, I'm like, well, if I can't hit that, then I want to hit the 30-mile mark in 24 hours. So that was like my next goal. And so he kind of knew that. He was watching his mom from a distance, because we're very cognizant that nobody figures there's any special treatment. Not that anybody would. If anything, he's probably harder on me. But anyways, so I taking it. Amber was with me for most of that race, that part of the race. And we got to the part where I have to come out through the woods. She left me. She went and ran down to come into, so she's the one who's videoing it.
Mm.
And I'm coming up, and I could hear him. And he's like, come on, get over that finish line. And I look up, and he has the smile. Picture yourself smiling at your child that's just done something so magnificent. And that's what I was getting from my son. And the hug, if you could see the hug, like it was one of those bear hugs that we both just gave each other. It was probably one of the best, most rewarding things that ever happened. It's just phenomenal. It was phenomenal, is all I can say. And I was kind of upset nobody got to see his smile, but I have that. I have it right here and right here. And we've done episodes about making memories and doing memories.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a memory I don't need a picture for.
Wow.
I don't need it. And so what I'd like to do, the reason why this is called Devil's Den is, and they play it up. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They play it up. Like there were devil things all over the place. And after the sun went down, there were creepy crawly things out. Like they had scary masks and light up hands and different things.
Oh,
like,
great. So you're gonna scare the crap out of me too.
yes. And so, but this race came out of Jason's battle with his own demons, as I stated before him, the PTSD, all of that. And his goal is for people to understand how to get on the other side of your demons.
Mm.
So his race is built around the reverse Devil's Tarot card. So I'm going to read you. We all get a copy of it. The Devil's reversed can often appear when you are on the verge of a breakthrough or an up-leveling. You are being called to your highest potential. But first, you must let go of unhealthy attachments or limiting beliefs that may hold you back. Often, when you are called for something more, you must deal with your shadows before you can step into this new version of yourself. It may be an addiction, unhealthy relationship, or a disengaging career. Let go of fear, release the self-imposed limiting beliefs standing in your way of your growth. It's easier than you realize. This statement could not put my feeling more into a better paragraph. Because Tracy E., you asked me what was it like standing on that line?
Mhm.
And 2 years ago, I was this little, excuse me, filled with limiting beliefs. And I had done so much work up to that point that I knew where all my limiting beliefs came from, whether they were factual or made up in my head. And if they were factual, really were they factual or were they someone's opinion? And if there was a fact on it, okay, here's one. Whenever I climb too fast at a high speed, I get very nauseous. Excuse me. That is a fact. I had peppermint with me. So every time it happened. All right, I'm sorry. I have to call.
While Michelle is just composing herself here, I just wanted to, I want everybody to tap into what is actually happening and what the possibilities are that exist for you in listening to Michelle's story, because there is so much power in all the things that she has chosen to overcome, chosen to work through. And it's really important that, just like as Jason has created this run for everybody to do, to take part in, to, announce themselves, it is about stepping into a new identity. It is about shedding the old.
And I think it's a perfect mirror
Yeah.
of life.
Mhm.
It's a perfect mirror of life. You'll want things. It's going to be hard. There's going to be obstacles in your way. And the only one that's going to get you through that with some support is you. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful mirror of what life
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, it was. So I did a lot of that work then. And whenever another belief would come in my mind, I'd be like, nope. So I can get lost all the time. Pete laughs at me like, where'd you get lost today? And before I had anybody walking with me, it is 7:30 at night, so it's dark. It's dark, and I'm in the middle of the woods. Like all I have is a headlamp on. It is pitch black anywhere I am, and there are markings and there are things for me to see. And there was a point where I was like, "Oh, I'm off course. I'm totally off course. I'm lost." Like, phew, like all that panic is coming in at me, and I'm trying to find my markers and the whole thing. And we did have the trail on our phones. We had the trail markings, so if you got lost, you could see where you were, GPS. And you want to know the ironic thing? I pulled it out, zoomed in where I was. I was exactly on track. I wasn't lost at all.
Mm.
I wasn't lost. But for a moment there, I was being lost to be lost.
Mhm.
And I wasn't lost at all. I was right on track. And once I took a breath and looked around again, I found my marker and off I went to get to the next round.
And I also just want to go back to the limiting belief thing that you said, that, we work on these, we work on our limiting beliefs, and we recognize that we have one. And then we work on it and we think that we have done the work on it, and then it shows up in a different form. And it's like, it's not something to go, oh, I thought I'd resolved this. It's like, oh, I still need to work on this. I still got to figure this one out. It's coming
Yes.
up a little bit differently, but it's still there. And that's what's really important about what you've done.
Yeah. Thank you. So, yep.
Michelle, I couldn't be happier for you.
You were
It
good.
couldn't have happened to a better person. And I just love that there is a blueprint that you have created for yourself, your clients. It
Yeah.
is so incredibly inspiring, and it is powerful, and it is a message to all of us that don't be afraid to dream big.
No.
Don't take a goal and lessen it because it's easier to do the lesser goal.
Yeah.
Stay with the big goal and you can get there. You really can get there.
And you're just
Yeah.
not doing the talk, right? I don't know the saying. What is it? Talk the talk, walk the talk. Like you're actually,
Wow, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you can talk all you want about, but hey, I've gone through it. I know exactly what I'm talking about because I've experienced it. So that type of wisdom and experience, like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, any other questions about my race? I know we can have more talks about them, and I'm sure more will come up on it. There's so much that all of a sudden I remember something on it. Funny thing is, you don't realize how much calorie deficiency you're doing. And every time I came back, they kept shoving food in my face. To one point, I'm standing by the fire, and they literally have it in my face. Every time I open my mouth to talk, they were shoving avocado into my mouth to get calories in my mouth.
I hate avocado.
Well, I like avocado, but yeah, so that was fun. Any other questions on the race?
Like you
No.
said, I'm sure there's lots that we'll come up with.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you'll hear me weave them in and out through other
Mhm.
conversations. But you have been such a pillar of strength and support for me. You guys were checking on me, making sure I was okay and where was I and all of that. So I greatly appreciate that. If any of you viewers have any questions about the race or anything I talked about in that, put it in there. Don't think what my learnings are only from a race. You can take these in other avenues and really intertwine them, which I already have started to do. So make sure you comment if you would like us to talk anything further about the race or whatever. Share and make sure you hit the subscribe button and notifications that you know when the next episode is coming up. Until then.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.